I understand broadly the principle that common sense tells us that lying is wrong, and lying to...
Yeah, but it's more than common sense. We're not using common sense. We're using the statutes, for example, against this kind of behavior.
I was not presented, I have not been seen any federal law, case law, or law that tells me that in this situation that we were faced in, which is what we have to look at.
Say your clients hired 6 people to be actors and to go into court and say, we're neighbors and we saw all this terrible stuff. And then your clients presented those witnesses in court. You're telling me that they would have no reason to believe that you can't do that because there was no federal case that says you can't bring actors into court to swear falsely against somebody.
But again, here we're appealing to sort of a broader definition of what is a clearly established right. I mean, we have to find the clearly established right in the context that our social workers were presented with, which was they were faced with a court order.
You know, again, I can't even believe for a microsecond that a caseworker wouldn't understand you can't lie and put in false evidence.
Let me ask the question a different way, counsel. Was there anything you know of that told social workers that they should lie and they should create false evidence in a court proceeding?
No, and of course, you know, that is, we contend that that's not what happened here.
I understand. Look,
We're stuck with the facts, and the light most favorable.
And to be clear, we are only speaking that
Right.
we accept the pleadings as alleged. We are not saying any of this is true. I want to be very clear about that. But
Right.
that's what we're dealing with right now.
In terms of another Ninth Circuit case that instructs social workers to lie and cheat.
Or at least sets a time period. At least sets a time period that says, as of this date, you can't do this anymore.
I would submit that the issues were not identical that was submitted to the state court versus the issue here. Yes, the term qualified immunity was used, but the underlying, in our view, the case law had changed.
Wasn't the issue whether lying in court to deprive a familial relationship was clearly established? They didn't say clearly established, but wasn't there a question? Wasn't the question in state court whether there was qualified immunity for lying in court to deprive a familial relationship?
The question, correct, there was an issue of qualified immunity. Now, they did not do the two-prong analysis. And
Right, but
Virtually nothing. And if you look further into the proceedings that took place in Costanich, there was a administrative law judge who was then appealed to a CPS judge, if you can imagine such a thing.
CPS, Child Protective Services?
Right. In that case, in that state, they call it DSHS. I forgot what it meant. But they appealed it to their own Board of Appeals. And that person said, well, what does it matter if they lied? Because we couldn't do anything about it anyway.
Okay. Welcome back. Yes, you just heard them correctly. The CPS worker was arguing, not the CPS worker, the CPS's attorney was arguing to the appellate court that it should be okay for CPS workers to lie to the court to take your children. Now, I'd just like to point out something real quick here. That video on YouTube is about half an hour long. So 3 judges gave an attorney half an hour to argue about why the CPS should be able to lie to take your children. And then when Sierra has her court date, the judge just hangs up on her when she starts talking about her rights. Won't even listen to her at all. Okay? That's where this is headed. And it's headed that way unless you do something about it. You. Because I've been walking in and out of these courts for years. I've helped people get out of jail. I've helped people get judges to reverse their order within 24 hours, 24 to 48 hours. I've helped people walk in and out with the IRS charging them in federal court. I'm going to tell you right now, they're taking away all law. All of it. Everything. And just think about this for a second, okay? Because if they're willing to do this while they still know that the populace is armed, what do you think they're going to do when they write a statute taking away your right to bear arms? Do you think they're going to magically get better? Because they won't. And Sierra's gotten in touch with me and is kind of stressed out because there are people who are saying, well, you should just work with CPS. Well, why don't you just do whatever they tell you to do to get your children back? Well, why don't you just work with them? Well, I'll give you a good reason why you don't work with them. Because this woman right here, Casey,
I did, from the very beginning, I made it very clear that I would do anything DSS told me.
She worked with them, did everything that she could possibly do to work with them. They took her kid anyways, and now her kid's dead. Dead! And you want to work with them. Do you work with somebody who kidnaps your child? Do you say, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Kidnapper, what can I do for you so that you'll give me permission to get my child back? Do you do that? No. No. In fact, even the authorities tell you not to do that. What do they tell you? They say, go down to court. Report it. Get the bad guy. Lock him up. That's what you're supposed to do. Okay? And this is even worse because you expect a bad guy to be a bad guy. You expect a snake to be a snake. This guy's acting like a shepherd, Christopher Smith. He's acting like, I'm here to protect you. I'm a judge. I uphold the law. And then he's going to take your children with the stroke of that pen. And you want to work with them? Might as well hand in your guns right now. Might as well not even care. Okay, and in the last video, I talked about how between him and Sierra, Christopher Smith is acting way more like a sovereign citizen than Sierra is. And let me just read to you something that Sierra filed on the 5th. On the 5th. And they stamped it received, but they didn't stamp it and file it into the clerk's file. They didn't file it into the case. Again, denying her right to access a court of law. And you're going to stand for it? That means you're not going to have a court of law because we don't have any law in this land. Here's what she wrote right here. She said, immediate emergency motion. But remember, it's only an emergency to take your children. It's not an emergency to give them back because that's how slave masters roll. I, Sierra, require to move before a court of law to avoid irreparable and unrepairable harm, injury, and loss to sacred trust of being mom, creator to my daughter's offspring, and then she writes in their names, and repair right of daughter's offspring to have relationship with their mom, creator of the offspring, because you have a right to raise your offspring. That is a right, okay? It's not a privilege, it's a right, or it's supposed to be. I require court to be open. As court was open at 1 p.m., I was not afforded my right to be heard as required by due process of law, which means they just don't care about due process of law. Now, Mr. Smith has filed, and this actually does have a timestamp on it. And they have pushed the court date back because, you know, in the original audio, it was supposed to be the 17th of February this month. Now they've pushed it back to the 17th of next month. Why? Because it's an emergency to take your children for no reason, but it's not an emergency to give them back. And of course, this is stamped in and filed in. So they're denying her right to a court of law, not taking her paperwork, not allowing her to file paperwork, not allowing her to access a real court, punishing her by pushing the time back, and you think she should work with them? Pfft. This is the problem, and I talked about this in the first video that I did about Sierra, how a lot of people, they look, oh, well, there's a judicial signature. What'd you do wrong? Why don't you just work with them? Why don't you just hand over your children and all of your property? Without any facts upon the record of a court. Without any reason. And in fact, not only is there no reason, but let's just think about this. The search warrant wasn't stamped when it should have been. The police officer, when Sierra called me, well, he said that the warrant was there and secure on the premises. The search warrant's been provided.
Search warrant will be provided. It's here on the premises.
And then, when Sierra gets home and looks at that warrant, it has a check saying nobody was there to accept the warrant, so they just had to leave it. They just had to leave it because nobody was there. You see, this is why we're losing. This is why the other side is dominating, is because we don't care about each other. We're always looking to point the finger and blame. Oh, it's you, it's your fault. You don't know what you're doing. I get that a lot from the counterculture. Oh, you should have done it this way. You know what? I've gotten people out of jail. I've gotten charges dropped. I've gotten things dismissed. I know exactly what I'm doing, and I'm telling you right now that if we don't quit this pointing the finger at each other, and we don't quit arguing with each other and telling each other how wrong we are, we're not going to have any rights. If you don't start calling that courthouse and requiring them, telling them like, hey, when are you going to have Sierra's case go to court? When are you going to have the case? And I'm going to put the case numbers up here in the background and the number that you can call to the district court where these things are going on. But if you don't do this, if you don't enforce law, there is no law, because they're going to know you won't enforce law. They're going to know that for a fact. And that's where we're at. That's where we're at. And just think about this, because a lot of people are like, oh, you should go get an attorney. Look, if you can't explain to the court why they shouldn't have taken your kids, why they should have never issued a search warrant, and why they should give your children back immediately, if you can't do that in plain, common, simple people language, and you have to go and pay tens of thousands of dollars to an attorney to do that for you, to explain to somebody with the law degree who has been practicing law long enough to be a judge, if you have to pay an attorney $10,000, $5,000 to go to explain to that individual why what's going on is completely lawless and wrong, then you don't have any rights. You don't have any rights. You only have privileges if you can afford them. And then only if they allow you to have the privilege. That's it. That's it. Because most people, most Americans in our society couldn't afford $1,000 out of expense in a month. They couldn't afford it. And that's just the way it is. And some people wish for her to work with them and be honorable when they act like this. I'll never understand. I'll never get it. Let's just go through this again. Okay. First, no timestamp. The other documents have timestamps. Second, on the second page, Christopher Smith signs this warrant. He must have known that it was a fraudulent warrant, so him signing it is a fraudulent act. On the third page, right here, they're saying nobody was there to leave the warrant with after you hear Sierra talk to me on the phone while the cops are there. And then on the fourth page, they put in marijuana. I didn't know this before, but I'm going to play the audio after my kind of outro. Sierra rolls her own cigarettes to smoke. She has rolling tobacco. It's very likely that those cigarette butts were just cigarette butts, and then somebody came back later and said, oh, well, let's just put in marijuana. It'll look better for us, so we can take our children. Because we know nobody's going to care in this society. Sierra's going to go file another emergency motion to have an immediate hearing. The only way she's going to get that hearing, the only way a court's going to open up, is if you, the public, call down there and make it known that you're watching this. Make it known that you believe that this case is disgusting and what they're doing to Sierra is disgusting, and you wish to know when she's going to have her girls back. And we should do this quickly, because Casey's daughter's dead. She's dead. So right now, I just wish to conspire to get Sierra her girls back before they're dead. Shouldn't be so much to ask. Anyways, I got a Telegram group, and now the comments are up and running, so we can have back and forth discussions on the Telegram group. I would really appreciate it if people subscribe to that Telegram channel. And while you're at it, doing subscriptions, subscribe right here, leave a like, a thumbs up, help the algorithm, leave a comment to help the algorithm, because YouTube is not going to help me out at all. People tell me all the time, they click on my links, nothing comes up, says it's taken down. There's your safety and security. There's where all of the money goes to fight terrorism, the NDAA Act, to spy on everybody. It goes to stop you from getting real information from people who are really trying to help you and really trying to create a better world and a better future. Anyways, I recorded this phone call. I believe it was the 12th, Friday the 12th. I'm just not getting around to playing it, so hopefully you'll stick around, participate, call the courthouse. We'll see you for the next one. Peace.
No, I need that file. Okay. No, I need that file. No, I need that file. You've done it before, so I need that file. It will be filed after. No, I'll stay here until it gets filed and I get a copy of the sign with it. I'll give you this until I talk to somebody, and I'll give you that back. Or it can stay right there. I just need that filed.
Leave, or I'll have you escorted out and arrested.
You cannot have me arrested for that.
Oh, I can't? Don't
What
push
are
me.
you threatening to arrest me for? What injury have I caused?
You've been giving them the trouble.
No, I have not. Have you been here the entire time, sir?
This
Have
place
you?
has had time. And the judge.
No, you have not been in this room
Out of
the entire
this
time.
building.
I am not finished with my procedures. When can I hear back about that getting filed?
Sally's fixing this back.
And you're giving that to the judge right now?
I need an office dresser.
Okay, thank you.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I was just kind of watching the video.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you if you watched the video.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Yeah, and that's the first one.
Yeah, the one that you just updated with.
Oh, the one that I just updated with. That's the first update. Yeah. Yeah.
It's only like 7-8 minutes. I was almost done.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I put the donation in the description link, so because a couple of people were asking about that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, but did you watch the other one that I published earlier today about your kids getting stolen?
Yeah. That one. Well, I think when you posted, as soon as you posted it, I shared it and watched it with everybody.
Yeah, a lot of people have been sharing it and watching it. And this is the same night, like Friday night is the first, when it first got posted, was the date.
I appreciate that. I mean, it's just, like, it's really beyond words, Tracy. It really is. It really is, sincerely.
Well, what did you tell me earlier about when you saw the part where I was talking about taking your cigarette butts and calling them roaches?
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure exactly what it was that they got, because I haven't received any evidence or...
Yeah, but what were you telling me didn't you tell me that you roll your own cigarettes?
Yeah, I have a package of menthol loose leaf tobacco.
So it's completely plausible that they literally did take your cigarette butts and call them roaches.
Well, JC, to be honest with you, it's plausible that those cigarette butts may not even be mine.
Yeah, but all right, I'm just gonna cut it out. I'm recording you right now on the phone on the thing. I'm on the recording, so but it's completely possible that you know those weren't even roaches. Like it was just rolled up tobacco. Because you roll your own cigarettes. Like I didn't know that until you told me that earlier.
Yeah, I have. I do roll my own tobacco, especially with the cold right now. Sometimes, you know.
So yeah. I mean, I used to have friends that would always do like American Spirit rolled up. Cause
well, I like wooden pipes as well sometimes, you know.
Right. So, but all right. Well, I'm gonna hop off of here because I'm trying to keep this little clip kind of quick. But yeah, it just amazed me when you told me that earlier about rolling your own cigarettes because I was like, man, they probably did freaking just put that in there just to make it try and look worse because they got nothing.
I mean, I really do have loose leaf tobacco in my camper. And I do roll my own, like I have, because sometimes it's, difficult to go and get cigarettes, or I don't have a vehicle that's mobile right now. It's kind of broke down. So, yeah, I do. I roll my own cigarettes.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing that struck me as odd is just how they kind of put it in as an afterthought. You know? It's like...
Well, and don't they have field tests?
No, not really. Not for stuff like that. So, but I am going to hop off here. I will give you a call back. I'm just trying to keep this audio kind of short and quick.
Okay, thank you, because I really didn't want to be on it too long.
All right, well, hey, do you want to tell everyone else thank you, like everybody who's watching on YouTube?
No, I really do appreciate the support because, I mean, just as it well could be anybody else's. I mean, I'd be there to support anybody else. So thank you for the love, support, and the good vibes.
Yeah, and it's just amazing to think, like, how many times this has probably happened before, and it just didn't happen to somebody.
I can't back down because if I do bow down, then somebody else is going to follow that same suit, and if they don't see the same hope, you know?
Yeah, and I'm just saying, how many times does this happen to somebody who's smart enough to always have their phone recording, to always be recording everyone, to always be gathering evidence, just because they know they're always in court. Court's going on all the time.
It's not as highly probable as it should be. I think we should really wake up and make that a first reaction.
Well, I think we should just create a world where people shouldn't feel the need to do that. But yeah, right now people got to do that all the time.
Oh, I completely agree.
So, but I am going to hop off here just to keep it short. Okay. It's a little over 5 minutes.
Go ahead and edit through that how you need to. And, hey, I appreciate everything, JC. I really do.
No problem. You know I can't stand seeing things like this, so...
You're a natural. You're a natural.
I appreciate it. Well, we'll talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.